My friends, if there was ever a time when we needed to surrender our days to God, it is now. We live in a world of uncertainty, where fear grips hearts and distractions pull us away from the very presence of God. But I have good news for you today. You don't have to walk through your day alone. You don't have to carry the burdens of life on your own shoulders. You can surrender it all to the one who holds the universe in his hands. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 3:5-6, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." Did you hear that? In all your ways. Not just in the big decisions, not just when trouble comes knocking, but in every moment of your day. Surrendering your day to God means trusting him with every moment. When you wake up in the morning, do you acknowledge him first? Do you ask him to guide your steps? Too often we rush into the day with our own agendas, our own worries, our own plans, but God is calling us to something greater. He is calling us to live surrendered lives where every breath, every action, every decision is placed in his hands. And how do we do that? We start by seeking him in prayer. Jesus himself, the Son of God, rose early in the morning to pray, to commune with his Father. If the Son of God needed to do that, how much more do we? When we seek God first, our minds are renewed, our hearts are strengthened, and our eyes are open to the divine appointments he has set before us. But I know what some of you are thinking. What if things don't go the way I plan? What if life throws unexpected challenges my way? This is where faith comes in. The Christian life is not about controlling every detail. It is about trusting the one who does. When you surrender your day to God, you don't have to walk in fear. The Bible says in Isaiah 41:10, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." When you surrender, God takes over. He fights your battles. He directs your steps. He works in ways you cannot see. And as you trust him, your life becomes a testimony, your peace becomes a witness, your joy becomes contagious. Your love reflects the very heart of Jesus. So I ask you today, are you willing to surrender? Are you willing to lay down your plans, your worries, your desires, and say, "Lord, this day is yours. Use me, guide me, lead me for your glory." Because when you do, you will see his power at work. You will walk in peace that passes all understanding. You will be a light in a dark world. And one day, when you stand before him, you will hear the words, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Let that be the cry of your heart today. Surrender your day to God more and watch how he transforms your life. God bless you. Trusting God with every moment means releasing our grip on life and placing it in the hands of the one who knows the beginning from the end. It's easy to say we trust God when everything is going well, when the path ahead is clear, and when our plans unfold the way we expect. But what about the moments of uncertainty? What about the days when nothing makes sense, when troubles arise, and when fear whispers doubts into our hearts? True trust is not just believing that God exists. It's believing that he is actively working in every situation, even when we don't see it. Think about the Israelites standing before the Red Sea with the Egyptian army closing in behind them. They had no escape, no logical solution, no plan, yet God had one. He made a way where there was no way. The sea parted, and they walked through on dry ground. If they had trusted their own understanding, they would have given in to fear. But when Moses lifted his staff in obedience to God, the impossible became possible. That same God is still moving today, still leading his people through the impossible, still proving that he is faithful. But trusting God is not just about the big miracles. No, it's about the small, everyday moments when we wake up in the morning, acknowledge that this day is a gift from him, when we step into our responsibilities and believe that he will give us strength when we encounter challenges and choose to surrender our anxieties instead of carrying them alone. Trust is active. It is a choice we make every single moment of our lives. Jesus taught us this when he said in Matthew 6:34, "Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself." Each day has enough trouble of its own. Worry is the enemy of trust. When we dwell on what might happen, when we fear what is ahead, we are trying to take control of what belongs to God. But he calls us to release our worries and rest in his promises. He is not just the God of eternity. He is the God of today, the God of this very moment. When we live in trust, we walk in peace. We may not know what the day holds, but we know who holds the day. We don't have to have all the answers because we serve a God who does. And when we surrender each moment to him, we begin to see his hand in ways we never expected, guiding us, strengthening us, and proving his faithfulness again and again. Seeking God first in prayer is the foundation of a surrendered life. It is the act of turning to him before anything else, before the distractions of the world pull us in different directions. Prayer is not just a routine or a religious duty. It is the very heartbeat of our relationship with God. When we begin our day in prayer, we are inviting his presence into everything we do, acknowledging that we cannot navigate life on our own. Jesus himself demonstrated this. In Mark 1:35, it says, "Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed." If the Son of God, who was perfect and all-powerful, needed to seek the Father in prayer, how much more do we? Jesus did not pray out of obligation. He prayed because he knew that true strength, wisdom, and guidance come from communion with the Father. Too often, we rush into our day without pausing to seek God. We check our phones, we make our plans, we run through our schedules, but have we stopped to hear from the one who holds our future? When we neglect prayer, we are essentially saying, "I can handle this on my own." But when we humble ourselves before God and begin the day in his presence, we align our hearts with his will, and we open ourselves to his direction. Prayer is not just about asking God for things. It is about deepening our relationship with him. It is about worship, surrender, and trust. It is where we lay our burdens down, where we find peace in his promises, and where we hear his voice speaking to our hearts. Philippians 4:6-7 tells us, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." When we seek God first, we are not just praying for our own needs. We are praying for his kingdom to come and his will to be done. We are surrendering our plans to his greater purpose. We are making room for him to work in ways beyond what we can imagine. And as we develop a habit of seeking him first, we begin to see his hand in our lives more clearly. Doors open that we could not have opened on our own. Strength fills us in moments of weakness. Peace surrounds us even in the midst of storms. The enemy wants to keep us too busy, too distracted, too caught up in the cares of this world to pray. But when we make prayer our first priority, we are equipping ourselves for whatever the day may bring. We are stepping into each moment with divine strength and wisdom. We are surrendering control and allowing God to lead. Seeking God first in prayer is not just something we do. It is the very thing that shapes us into powerful, faith-filled believers who walk in the presence and power of Almighty God. Walking in faith, not fear, is one of the greatest challenges in the Christian life. Yet it is also one of the most powerful ways we can honor God. Fear is a natural human response to the unknown, to trials, to situations that seem beyond our control. But faith calls us to something higher. It calls us to trust in God, even when we cannot see the outcome. The Bible tells us in 2 Corinthians 5:7, "For we walk by faith, not by sight." That means we do not live according to what we see or feel, but according to what we know to be true about God. Fear will always try to creep in. It whispers doubts, it magnifies problems, and it paralyzes us from moving forward in God's will. The enemy uses fear to keep us from stepping out in faith, from believing in God's promises, from experiencing the fullness of His plans. But God has not given us a spirit of fear. 2 Timothy 1:7 declares, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." If fear is not from God, then we must reject it. Faith is not just a feeling, it is a decision to trust God despite our feelings. It is choosing to believe that He is in control even when circumstances seem chaotic. It is standing firm on His promises even when the world tells us otherwise. Abraham walked in faith when God told him to leave his homeland and go to a place he did not know. He did not have all the details, but he trusted that God did. Peter walked in faith when he stepped out of the boat to walk on water. The moment he took his eyes off Jesus and focused on the storm, fear took over, and he began to sink. But when he cried out to Jesus, the Lord reached out His hand and lifted him up. That is what God does for us when we put our trust in Him. Walking in faith means surrendering control and believing that God is leading even when the path is uncertain. It means taking the next step even when we don't see the full picture. It means replacing a what if with a God will. What if I fail? No, God will sustain me. What if this situation doesn't change? No, God will work all things for my good. What if I'm not strong enough? No, God's strength is made perfect in my weakness. Faith is not about never feeling fear. It is about refusing to let fear control us. Every time we step out in faith, our trust in God grows stronger. We begin to see His faithfulness, His provision, His power at work in our lives. Fear may come knocking, but when we walk in faith, we answer with confidence, knowing that our God is greater than anything we face. Walking in faith is walking in victory. It is living with the assurance that no matter what comes our way, we are held by the hands of a loving and all-powerful God. God. Living as a light in the world is not an option for a believer. It is a calling. Jesus Himself said in Matthew 5:14, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Light stands out in darkness. It shines, it illuminates, it guides." As followers of Christ, we are called to reflect His light in a world that is filled with fear, confusion, and sin. But being a light does not mean simply saying we are Christians. It means living in such a way that others see Christ in us. It means showing love when the world shows hate, offering forgiveness when others hold grudges, and speaking truth when deception runs rampant. It means standing firm in faith when the world tells us to compromise. Light is not just seen, it is felt. When people encounter us, they should sense something different. Peace instead of anxiety, joy instead of despair, kindness instead of selfishness. That is what happens when we are truly surrendered to God. The light we shine is not our own, it is the light of Christ in us. Just as the moon does not produce its own light, but reflects the light of the sun, we are called to reflect the light of the Son of God. The closer we walk with Him, the brighter we shine. This is why surrendering our day to God is so important. When we begin our day in His presence, seeking His will and trusting in His guidance, we position ourselves to be used by Him. We become vessels through which His love, wisdom, and power flow into the lives of those around us. But the world will try to dim our light. It will pressure us to conform, to stay silent, to hide our faith. The enemy will whisper that we are not strong enough, not good enough, not worthy enough to make a difference. But Jesus did not say, try to be the light. If Christ is in us, then his light is in us, then his light is in us, then his light is in us. It is not about our ability, but his power working through us. Living as a light means carrying the hope of the gospel wherever we go. It means being ready to share our faith, to encourage the weary, to point people to Jesus in both our words and actions. It means refusing to be influenced by the darkness, but instead transforming the atmosphere around us with God's presence. When we walk into a room, the atmosphere should shift, not because of who we are, but because of who lives in us. A single candle in a dark room can make a difference. And when believers shine together, the darkness cannot overcome it. That is why we must stand strong, shining boldly, refusing to hide our faith. The world is searching for hope, searching for truth, searching for something real. And when we surrender to God daily, when we trust him with every moment, when we walk in faith and seek him first in prayer, our lives become a testimony that draws others to him. This is what it means to be a light in the world. This is what it means to live surrendered to God. Surrender your day to God, more powerful Christian, my friends. We are living in a time when the world is restless, filled with uncertainty, fear, and distractions that pull us away from God. But today I want to remind you of a truth that will transform your life. When you surrender your day to God, he takes control. He leads the way and he fills your life with his peace and power. Too often we wake up and rush into our schedules, our plans, our responsibilities without ever pausing to acknowledge the one who gave us breath. But the Bible tells us in Proverbs 3:5-6, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. Did you hear that? In all your ways, every decision, every challenge, every moment. Surrender is not just about the big things. It is about the small daily choices we make to trust God instead of ourselves. Trusting God with every moment means giving him control, even when life feels uncertain. It means choosing faith over fear, peace over anxiety, and obedience over our own desires. When you wake up in the morning, do you start by giving your day to him? Do you say, "Oh Lord, I don't know what today holds, but I trust you to lead me"? That kind of trust changes everything because it shifts the weight from our shoulders onto his. And how do we surrender? We start by seeking God first in prayer. Prayer is not just a routine or a duty, it is the lifeline of our faith. When Jesus walked this earth, he sought the Father in prayer before anything else. If Jesus needed that time with God, how much more do we? Prayer aligns our hearts with his will, strengthens us for the day ahead, and invites his presence into every situation we face. But I know what some of you may be thinking. What if my day doesn't go as planned? What if I'm faced with trials and setbacks? My friends, this is where faith comes in. Walking in faith, not fear, is what sets us apart as believers. The world tells us to worry, to fear the unknown, to rely on our own strength. But God calls us to trust him, even when we don't understand his plan. Isaiah 41:10 says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." You don't have to have all the answers. Just take the next step in faith, knowing that God is already ahead of you. And when you live a surrendered life, when you trust God with every moment and seek him first in prayer, something incredible happens. You begin to shine. You become a light in this world. Jesus said in Matthew 5:14, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." This world is filled with darkness, with people searching for hope, for truth, for something real. When you surrender to God, your life becomes a testimony of his goodness. Your peace in the midst of trouble, your joy in the face of trials, your unwavering faith, these things shine like a beacon, drawing others to Christ. So I ask you today, are you willing to surrender? Are you willing to give your day, your plans, your worries, your struggles into the hands of the one who holds the universe? Because when you do, you will see his power at work in your life. You will walk in his peace. You will experience his presence like never before. And one day when you stand before him, you will hear the words, "Well done, good and faithful servant. Let today be the day you surrender more. Let today be the day you trust him fully. Let today be the day you walk in his light and live as a powerful Christian." God bless you.